Purple Daily, Phil Mackey, Judd Zulgad, Declan Goff. It's my turn to give 3 bold Vikings predictions. Judd's, yours were pretty bold last week, so I don't know if mine are going to be.
At least 2 of mine, I think, raised some eyebrows within the studio. Wouldn't you say?
We'll see. They did. We'll see if mine are as bold as yours.
Yep.
Let's thank DennisKirk.com real quick for supporting Score North and Purple Daily and also the Mackey and Judd podcast. Crazy times these last 3 months, but the one thing you can still do is get out and ride. If you're a motorcycle rider, the weather has been mostly amazing here in the state of Minnesota. DennisKirk.com is a Minnesota-based worldwide retailer of parts, accessories, and apparel for avid bikers of all kinds. Whether you're a Harley rider, cruiser, sport bike, dirt bike, any other kind of motorcycle, they've got what you need, and they've also extended their offer of 0% interest for up to 12 months through June 30th. $89 orders ship free at DennisKirk.com. All right, boys. I tried to be bold with these. I know Judd's going to disagree with one of them.
We will decide if they are bold enough.
All right. Let's start with this one, okay? Bold prediction number 1. Danielle Hunter will lead the NFL in sacks in 2020 for the first time in his career.
That's pretty good.
He's had back-to-back seasons of like 14 and a half sacks.
Mm-hmm.
He's the youngest player ever in the NFL's history, at least since they started tracking sacks in the early 1980s, the youngest player to reach 50 sacks. And my thought process here is this is the sweet spot in Danielle Hunter's career where he's still in his physical prime, very much in his physical prime for at least another 5 or 6 years probably until he's 30, 31 years old. And now I think he's entering his mental prime as well. And that's kind of the battle for athletes in all sports, right? Oftentimes your physical prime peaks before your mental prime. Like quarterbacks in today's NFL have the advantage in that their mental prime might be 32 through 38 because they've been able to rack up 10 years of snaps and surveying defenses. And also as a quarterback, you're not as reliant on your speed deteriorating. So you can kind of merge the two together.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think for pass rushers, you see a lot of guys, if you look historically in the NFL's last 30 years or so, the average age of the NFL's sack leader is almost always between 25 and 29. And Danielle Hunter is 25, going to be 26. So he's in that window. You generally need 17 to 20 sacks to lead the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And I think his next jump is into that 17 to 20 sack window. Last year, only Zadarius Smith had more pressures than Danielle Hunter, according to Pro Football Focus. Jared Allen led the NFL for the Vikings in sacks twice between 25 and 29.
Jared made sure he did. Yes, he did a very good job of that.
But he did it twice between 25 and 29. Once might have been with the Chiefs. I can't remember the first one. But John Randall led the NFL in sacks at the back end of that age bracket. And then Chris Dolman also led the NFL in sacks as a Viking when he was 28 years old. So Danielle Hunter, he's in that age window. And I think he's ready to take a step forward and lead the NFL in sacks.
I like the prediction. Can I say that I don't think it's like a super bold one because it makes some sense.
Okay.
Now what I'm curious about is does Griffin thrive because he can theoretically in the coming season, Phil Mackey, move from left to right end if they so choose. That we definitely saw something when they played against the Saints. He goes inside. He's a nightmare there. Does he thrive off of that, or does the departure of or the expected non-return of Griffin make it a little bit more tough for him because he's going to be easier to focus on?
It's a good question. I wonder, there's probably a study that's been done about how many of NFL sack leaders going back to the 80s, how many of them are mostly getting snaps at right end versus left end. I would
think to be the right end all the time
because you're coming on the quarterback's blind side, right?
Yes.
Which actually is a testament to Danielle Hunter in that he generates so much pressure from the quarterback's front side on a regular basis.
I like that one, though.
So, Declan, is that bold enough for you?
I think you got to give me a number. You got to give me like 20. You got to give me like some like really bold number for it because I can see him leading the league in sacks.
I'll give you 20. He's going to get to 20 sacks.
Okay.
Yeah,
hell of a year.
These are not official write that down predictions, though. I'll have you know. This is a write that down free space, so I can say whatever.
Sorry.
Are you tempted though to make that a potential write that down, Phil Mackey?
Maybe.
It doesn't seem
maybe. I'm too busy with my Bundesliga predictions right now.
20 is super high, but that does not. But for Griffin to fall between, let's say, 15 sacks, 18 sacks seems very reasonable to me.
Here are the totals. If you go back and look at the last whatever, I'll just go through history here. Shaq Barrett had 19 and a half sacks last year for Tampa. He led the NFL.
Okay.
26 years old. Aaron Donald the year before with 20 and a half.
Okay.
27 years old.
Number. Yeah.
Chandler Jones, 17 sacks in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Vic Beasley, 15.5 in 2016.
What happened in 2016?
Just a bunch of slackers at pass
Unimpressive
rusher, I guess.
year.
J.J. Watt, 17.5 sacks in 2005.
Back when he stayed healthy.
Justin Houston, 22 sacks in 14. Wow. Robert Mathis, 19.5. J.J. Watt again with 20.5. And Jared Allen with 22, going back to 2011.
I remember that.
So I'll give you 20.
Okay.
He'll get to 20 sacks. All right, bold prediction number 2 here. Judd's going to disagree with this one. But Adam Thielen will set career highs in targets, catches, and yards receiving in 2020.
Oh, going very much against my bold Vikings predictions.
So his career highs to this point are 153 targets, 113 catches, and 1,373 yards. So obviously this requires him staying healthy for 16 games, or he's on, because 153 targets in last year's NFL would have been like third most in the entire league. You had Michael Thomas was targeted like 200 times or something close to it. And then everybody else, the next 4 or 5 guys were kind of in that 150 range. So I'm telling you, I think he's going to be behind Michael Thomas, like the second or third most targeted wide receiver in the NFL this year. And my logic is, I think Kirk Cousins sometimes was a little bit paralyzed and maybe just felt obligated to make everyone happy on offense, especially when Stephon Diggs is chirping in his ear. Rightfully so, but I'm not ripping I think Stephon Diggs gets a bad rap for being high maintenance guy, but there's a couple games that we've talked about on this show that if it wasn't for Stephon Diggs chirping and throwing his helmet, I don't think the team gets fired up to beat Denver. So
no, I agree.
But like all of that goes into Kirk Cousins, more of a beta personality. All right, I got to please Diggs over here and Thielen over there, and they're both kind of yelling at me and stuff. Well, this year there is no question who the go-to target is for the Vikings. It is Adam Thielen.
That's right. His name's Irv Smith.
No, Irv Smith should be targeted a lot, but in terms of like pecking order of who's the safety blanket, who's the guy you're looking for in every play when you drop back, it's Adam Thielen. And so he's one of the best route runners in the NFL. He has enough speed still, even at 29, 30 years old, to beat defenders deep. And like I said, his competition on the roster for targets is a running back, an over-the-hill tight end, a young tight end, and a rookie wide receiver. Like, he is the target on offense. Let's make no mistake.
If you're right and Thielen achieves the statistical success that you talked about, Kirk Cousins will throw no fewer than 4 to 6 picks on targets for Thielen. Because Thielen's going to get the best guy.
Bold prediction on top
no, he's just going to get the best guy, so it's going to be tough.
But Michael Thomas.
I'm not saying he won't catch the ball.
But all of the top receivers get the best guy, and they still catch 100. Like he's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL.
No. I'm saying that this would not be a Thielen problem. This would be an actual Cousins trying to force the ball at times, which he doesn't like to do. Which is why I don't think he will. But yeah, no, I'm not criticizing Thielen, and I'm not saying that his success will take or that he won't be successful. I'm saying that now that there's, as you stated, and you're right, an obvious, there's receiver A, and then there's receiver D. There's,
like Irv Smith is awesome. Don't get me wrong, and he should be targeted.
Right, but as far as Jefferson goes, Thielen goes, BC Johnson goes, that whole group, that if you throw to Thielen that much, that you are going to get picked off sometimes.
If I'm right about this,
don't be afraid to get picked off.
If I'm right about this, Adam Thielen, based on last year's receiving statistics across the league, would rank second in catches, second in yards, and like second or third in targets behind only Michael Thomas.
Zim's going to have to bite the bullet and say, Kirk, you got picked off. Too bad.
All right, Declan, how bold was that take, and where do you stand on it?
I think it's pretty bold just because I do think I'm curious to see what wall Thielen hits after these injuries, right? He's had a pretty significant one last year. And even though he's a young man towards everyone else, but he's starting to get up there in age, can he still replicate the success without Stephon Diggs? And I think that's a curious question. So if he can put up all those numbers with the targets, receptions, and yards, I do think it's a bold take. I really do.
So we'll see. We'll see. Now, he could get hurt for 4 games and wipe this out completely. All right. I am not proud of this next bold prediction. I feel a little bit dirty, and I don't even know if I believe my own bold prediction.
Okay.
So I'm just putting that preface out.
Okay.
All right. But bold prediction number 3. Well, let me hit the official one. Mike Zimmer will get fired before the bye.
Whoa.
What?
And Gary Kubiak will be the head coach. So let me flush this out. All right. And again, this is not a write that down prediction. This is not official. This is a safe space. We're just making bold predictions among friends here, okay? But if you look at the first part of their schedule, you could sort of take it one of two ways. You could look and you could see them getting off to a good start because they have a bunch of AFC games that you'd think they'd be favorites in. But they also have like those AFC games. The Titans went deep in the playoffs last year. The Texans still had Deshaun Watson. So a couple tough AFC games. You got a game against the Packers right off the bat. The at Seattle situation that just never seems to go right for the Vikings. And if you lose one of the games that you're probably supposed to win, and that, like, I'm just saying, if he doesn't get a contract extension, which right now he's a lame duck coach, and if they get off to a slow start, it's very conceivable that Gary Kubiak is very much an incompetent coach.
I don't know that Gary's health puts him in a position to assume that role. That's the interesting thing.
Judd.
Gary's had some issues,
Urban
man.
Meyer, like Andy Reid.
Gary had a mini stroke one time.
This is serious. There's no way that
Carroll.
factors in halfway through the season. If it's week 6,
Pete Carroll's fine. He's just old now.
And I also think if a coach gets fired and your ownership goes, "Hey, Gary, we want you to take it over," he's not going to say no.
Yeah, Gary, take a nap at 2:00 in the afternoon. Just like
I'll pass. Go to the next guy.
I'm glad that you guys have no concern for Coob's well-being.
I do. I'm just
no, you don't. You have no concern. You don't care if he dies.
Look at the chain of command of what would
You're
happen.
basically going Rocky IV.
Mike Zimmer coached with an eye falling out of
Mike
the socket.
Doesn't care about his
health. For God's sake.
Now, first of all, that's not just a super bold prediction. It's also reckless speculation. So I would like to hear the reckless speculation sounder. You crossed the line.
Speculation.
I'm just saying it is very conceivable. And this isn't me. By the way, I'm on the record saying.
What does the record have to be?
Well, I think the Vikings are still going to go 10-6 or 11-5.
But for this to happen,
I could also see a scenario in which they start kind of slow and then get a boost by bringing in Gary Kubiak as the head coach, and that's how they get to 11-5. All right, I'm just saying.
Okay.
It wouldn't shock me if this happened. It's the NFL. Like this happens all the time. And unless Mike Zimmer has agreed to a contract extension that we have not been privy to, or any prominent media member has, like this stuff leaks out all the time when Mike Zimmer signs an extension, it's not just going to go under the radar for 3 months. So
nor with Spielman.
So as of right now, he's a lame duck coach.
Yep.
Which means Spielman and the ownership don't love Mike Zimmer right now.
When's the bye again?
It's week 8, I believe.
Okay, so are you saying that for the plug to get pulled during the bye week on Mike Zimmer, he would have won at that point? Like,
here's what it is.
3 games.
Here's the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
It's a week 7 bye.
Okay.
So Green Bay home, Indianapolis on the road.
Okay.
Home against Tennessee.
Okay.
Tough beat. At Houston, tough beat. At Seattle.
0-5 at this point.
Impossible beat.
0-5. Things have really gone off the tracks.
If you lose, this is also we did a trap game episode of Purple Daily a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
If you're on the ropes and you lose at home to Atlanta in week 6 with a bye week in week 7, Mike Zimmer's getting fired.
Seats hot, baby.
If you lose that game against Atlanta and you're, let's say, going into the Atlanta game, you got the first 5 games here, Green Bay, Indianapolis. Let's say you're 2-3. All right. Let's say you beat Green Bay at home, and you beat Tennessee at home in week 3, but you lose those 3 road games. So you're 2-3 going into the Atlanta game, and Atlanta beats you going into the bye, and you're 2-4.
And your defense isn't playing that well.
Mike Zimmer gets fired.
Defense is really let down. Not as good as you expected.
Just saying. You have, but in the back part of your schedule, you do have a lot of room to make up ground. Whether Zimmer's your coach or Kubiak, you got the 3 straight home games and additional games at home against Detroit. And you got a road game against Detroit. So you can make up a lot of ground the back half of your schedule if you're properly motivated.
I got to be honest. Right? I did not, among your 3 bold predictions, I did not see the firing of Mike Zimmer coming.
That's hot, man.
Reckless speculation.
But are you saying that you can't see that scenario at all?
No, now that you paint it, I can see it. I just didn't think among your 3 bold predictions that would be one of them. Now, you know what? The Wilfs have done it before. What? November 2010, Brad Childress, after a bad loss to the Packers in a season where a lot went wrong, but got the plug pulled. So they have shown a willingness here. So here's my question to you off of that point, and here's where I think it could be trending if things don't go well to what you just said. My question is, behind the scenes, are they working to sever this deal that Courtney talked about, where Spielman and Zimmer's contracts have always been synced up? Behind the scenes, are they saying, you know what, Rick, you had a really good draft. You've done some really nice things. Mike, we need to wait and see. And Rick's like, you know what, you're exactly right. Let's wait and see on Mike. But I'll take that 3-year contract. Because if it trends in that direction, and if we hear, and let's say we get to September, October, and it leaks out that Spielman signed an extension and Mike has not, now your bold predictions got some real steam to it if things don't go well.
If you had to give a 3-year extension to one and fire the other right now, Spielman or Mike Zimmer?
Oh, I give Spielman the extension.
Yeah.
The coach, to me, I've got to wait and see.
I agree. I'm leaning Spielman.
I'm going Spielman too. I think Spielman, there's definitely, especially in the draft, there's definitely things to nitpick there, but Spielman by and large has put together really, really good rosters, and the Vikings are never a train wreck. They're just like, they're never 3-13. Once under Rick Spielman were they 3-13.
And not yet.
Or whatever it was.
Yes.
So, all right, those are 3 bold predictions. Declan, you're on deck next for 3 bold Vikings
Deck's
predictions.
on deck, and I can't wait. I already have some queued up. I'm ready to go.
I hope all 3 are just people losing their jobs.
Let's just say
Spielman fired, Zimmer fired.
The last hot take I had, everyone loved it, so I'm sure this will go over really well.
Let's just say that my partner buried the lead. The definition in 3 bold Vikings predictions of burying
I wanted
the lead.
to say,
Starts out with Danielle Hunter is going to be really good. Okay, yeah, cool. Thielen's going to be really good. Yeah, you know what? I can sort of see that maybe.
I'm also trying to
Mike
envision
Zimmer is going to get fired.
I'm trying to envision a scenario where the first 2 things happen and the third thing also happens. It would be really tough. If Danielle Hunter is that ferocious, although Jared Allen, when he broke the record, the Vikings were terrible.
Awful. They were awful. He was just going to get to the quarterback. He was chasing quarterbacks out of bounds. You remember that?
Yeah. That's hilarious.
Jay Cutler throws a pass. Oh, Jared Allen just hit him. I wonder why.
Jared Allen is sitting on the Bears bench right now, looking over Jay Cutler's shoulder.
My favorite moment in that Bears game was the Bears were just like, screw it. We're going to spend the rest of the game running the football. And so the Chicago running back would be 5 yards upfield, and Jared Allen would be 10 yards into the backfield.
Where's Jared? He's 14 yards behind the line of scrimmage
He's like,
right now.
Screw this. I'm going after Cutler. I don't care if he handed the ball off.
Guys, can I just stay back here? I'm just going to cherry pick.
All right.
Well,
Well, nice work there.
So, all right. Those are 3 bold
Nice.
Vikings predictions here. Thanks for hanging out with us on Purple Daily. Please click the subscribe button on our YouTube page, youtube.com/scorenorth. And also give us a sub on both of our podcast feeds if you haven't already. Purple Daily on Apple, Spotify, and scorenorth.com. And Mackey and Judd, the podcast, on those same platforms. See you next time.